You don't need more time. You need to start using your time differently. That's the hard truth most people miss. Every person you admire, the billionaire, the genius, the artist, the elite athlete, gets the exact same 24 hours that you do. No more, no less. But they extract more from it, not because they have secrets, but because they have standards. And that's where your transformation begins. Let's face it, too many people waste their days and wonder why they don't have the life they want. They scroll for hours, make excuses, avoid hard things, and then blame the world for not rewarding them. But the world doesn't pay you for intentions, it pays you for execution. So if you want your life to change, if you're tired of being stuck in the same cycle, then it's time to take ownership of your 24 hours and use them with power, with clarity, with urgency. Because when you change how you use your hours, you change how you live your life. Most people don't realize it, but their biggest enemy isn't lack of talent, lack of money, or lack of opportunity. It's time leakage. It's the subtle, almost invisible loss of time that happens throughout the day. And the reason this is so dangerous is because it doesn't announce itself. There's no alarm that goes off when you've wasted 15 minutes. There's no voice that screams when you choose to scroll instead of start. Time isn't stolen in big, dramatic chunks. It's taken from you in small, forgettable moments that you don't even notice until it's too late. You might think you're just unwinding or relaxing, but what you're actually doing is leaking precious minutes that could have been invested into building the life you say you want. This is how the average person lives. They go through the day reacting instead of leading. They let external forces dictate how their time is spent. Notifications, entertainment, trivial conversations, unnecessary errands, impulsive decisions, and then they reach the end of the day exhausted and confused, wondering where the time went, frustrated that their goals are still untouched. Here's the uncomfortable truth. People don't lack time. They lack awareness of how they're using their time. The numbers don't lie. The average person spends over 4 hours a day on their phone. That's 28 hours a week, more than a part-time job. Over the course of a year, that's 60 full days. 60, not minutes, not hours, days. Imagine what you could create, build, improve, or learn in 60 uninterrupted days of focus and intent. That's the kind of power you're giving away when you scroll through social media out of habit or boredom. But the problem isn't just technology, it's the mindset behind how we use it. It's how we've trained our brains to seek out distraction and comfort. It's how we've convinced ourselves that we're being productive because we're doing stuff, even if that stuff has zero relevance to our growth. You tell yourself that you'll start that project tomorrow, or that you just need a break today, or that it's okay to kill time because you deserve it. But deep down, you know you're not resting, you're avoiding, you're numbing, you're procrastinating under the illusion of harmless indulgence. Distractions today aren't just interruptions, they're habits. They've become the default setting. And every time you let your attention get pulled by a notification, a reel, a short, a meme, a pointless video, you're allowing someone else to control your focus. That's not just a moment lost, it's a chance lost, because you can't do deep work, real work, meaningful work when your attention is fragmented into 1,000 digital pieces. You can't build a future when your energy is constantly being hijacked by the shallow, the urgent, and the meaningless. Think about it. When was the last time you had 2 hours of completely focused, undistracted time? When was the last time you sat with a goal and gave it everything without checking your phone, switching tabs, or giving in to distraction? If you're like most people, it's been a while. That's not because you can't focus, it's because you haven't made it sacred. This is why so many people feel like they're working hard but getting nowhere. They're expending energy but not making progress. They're moving but not moving forward. And it's all because they haven't mastered the art of guarding their time. The people who win in life aren't just talented, they're intentional. They understand the value of every minute. They respect their own time, so they use it with discipline. They don't chase every notification, answer every message instantly, or fill every blank space with noise. They create space to think, plan, execute. They lead their time instead of reacting to it. And this is the difference between the average and the exceptional. Not who works the longest, but who works the clearest. Not who's always busy, but who's always intentional. Every minute you waste isn't just a minute gone. It's a minute stolen from your vision. You can't get it back. There's no refund. Once it's gone forever. And yet people treat their time like it's unlimited. They throw it away like it means nothing. But ask anyone on their deathbed what they wish they had more of, and the answer is always the same: time. The difference between someone who rises and someone who remains stuck is not usually intelligence, talent, or luck. It's how they manage their hours. The truth is, every single day, you're given the same 24 hours as the most successful people in the world. That's not a motivational quote, it's a fact. No one gets extra hours, no one gets a bonus round. What you do with those 24 hours either builds your future or buries your potential. There's no middle ground. And when you begin to truly understand this, it changes how you approach your day. Most people waste time because they never sat down and calculated what their time is really worth. If you made just $50,000, 0 cents a year, your time is worth roughly $24, 0 cents per hour. But if you have big dreams, if you want to create something massive, your time should be valued even higher. So the question becomes, why are you giving away $50, 0 cents, $100, 0 cents, $500, 0 cents worth of time for activities that add nothing to your goals? Why are you spending premium hours on discount priorities? You wouldn't give away cash every hour to random strangers, but you're doing the same with your time, giving it away to every distraction, every temptation, every meaningless decision. You can always make more money, but you can never make more time. So every minute you give to things that don't serve your future is a direct hit to your progress. Time is your most expensive currency, but most people live like it's the cheapest. They spend the best hours of their day being reactive, distracted, pulled in every direction except forward. They treat their mornings like a random event instead of a launch pad. They treat their evenings like escape zones instead of reflection points. And then they wonder why life feels chaotic, why growth feels impossible, why the future feels like it's always out of reach. If you want to change your life, you have to change how you see your day. You need to stop treating time like it's something you have and start treating it like something you use. Your day should have structure, not a rigid schedule that suffocates you, but a clear framework that serves your mission. Every hour should have a purpose. That doesn't mean working nonstop or burning yourself out. It means aligning your actions with your goals. It means knowing what needs to get done and doing it with intention, not emotion, not convenience. People who achieve at a high level don't wait for motivation. They don't wait to feel like it. They move on discipline. They understand that motivation comes after movement, not before. So they structure their days in a way that reduces friction, that removes unnecessary choices, that creates momentum. They know what time they wake up, when they do their deep work, when they rest, when they recharge, and when they reflect. They aren't perfect, but they are deliberate. Their 24 hours are designed, not left to chance. You can always tell who has a clear direction by how they use their time. Look at someone's daily routine and you can predict where their life is headed. If their days are filled with purpose, growth, discipline, and focus, you're looking at someone on the path to greatness. If their days are filled with distraction, laziness, excuses, and mindless entertainment, you're looking at someone stuck in a loop. It's not about judgment, it's about truth. Your routine is either your enemy or your ally. It's either building you or breaking you. But here's what most people get wrong. They think discipline means restriction. They think having a schedule means losing freedom, but the opposite is true. Discipline creates freedom. When you structure your time, you take back control. You eliminate the anxiety of indecision. You avoid the stress of being behind. You stop reacting to the day and start creating it. That's real freedom. The ability to own your hours, shape your outcomes, and move with clarity instead of chaos. People wait for the perfect time to get serious. But the perfect time is never coming. There will always be distractions. There will always be a reason to delay. There will always be something pulling at your focus. The difference between the people who succeed and the people who stay the same is that one group acts in spite of the noise. They don't wait until life calms down. They create calm by mastering their time. They don't wait until they feel ready. They get ready by doing. Every time they choose structure over impulse, they take a step toward the life they say they want. You're not overwhelmed because you have too much to do. You're overwhelmed because you're not managing your time with intention. You don't need more hours. You need more clarity. You need fewer distractions. You need tighter boundaries. Because when you learn to command your time, you begin to command your life. You begin to shape your identity. You begin to rise above the noise and move with purpose. That's the power of using your 24 hours better. It's not just about being productive. It's about becoming powerful. You have dreams. You have goals. You have this picture in your mind of what life could look like if everything finally aligned. Success, peace, health, fulfillment. But between where you are and where you want to be is a space only one thing can fill: execution. Not ideas, not motivation, not wishful thinking, execution. And execution is impossible without control over your time. This is where most people fall off. They know what they want. They even know what to do, but their daily actions don't match their desires. They plan big, talk big, dream big. But when the day starts, they lose control. They let the day run them instead of running the day. You can't build a strong future on weak daily habits. It's not going to happen. The people who win really win aren't just outworking you. They're out planning you, out prioritizing you, and out disciplining you. They treat their time like it's gold. They don't have random days. They have a system, a rhythm, a flow. Every hour is assigned a direction. It's not about being robotic. It's about being committed. They don't wait to feel inspired. They build an environment that keeps them consistent, even when the motivation fades. Your life is a reflection of how you spend your hours. If you spend every evening binging shows, you're building a life of escape. If you spend every morning hitting snooze, you're building a life of delay. If you spend every spare minute checking your phone, you're building a life of distraction. But if you start spending your mornings on clarity, your afternoons on execution, your evenings on reflection, you start building a life of momentum. Your results will never exceed your routines. What you do consistently will always outweigh what you do occasionally. And this is the silent truth about growth. Your breakthrough is hidden in your schedule. It's not waiting in the next book, the next seminar, the next motivational video. It's waiting in the time you haven't optimized. The hour you waste scrolling, the afternoon you spend reacting, the evening you burn with mindless tasks. That's where your next level is hiding. And until you reclaim those hours, your life won't change, because success doesn't live in the future. It lives in your calendar. It lives in the hours you usually throw away. If you're not using those hours to build, you're using them to delay, period. High achievers don't use time as an excuse. They use it as a weapon. They know they have the same 24 hours as everyone else, so they make those hours sharper, more focused, more intense. They cut out what doesn't matter. They delegate what they can. They protect their time like it's sacred. They don't just let people access their attention freely. They decide who gets it, when, and why. They aren't afraid to say no. They aren't afraid to unplug. They aren't afraid to disappear for a while so they can focus on the mission, because they understand something most people never realize. Distraction is the enemy of destiny. And this isn't about hustle culture. It's not about grinding yourself into exhaustion. It's about clarity, purpose, alignment. It's about knowing what matters and giving it the time it deserves. Too many people are exhausted not because they're doing too much, but because they're doing too much of the wrong things. Their energy is scattered. Their attention is split. Their priorities are blurry, so they feel like they're drowning in to-do lists, but never making real progress. That's not a time problem. That's a focus problem. You can't fix your life until you fix your daily decisions. You can't reach your goals if your day is designed for survival instead of success. If you want to rise, you need to design your hours like they're brick stacked with purpose, built with care. Every moment becomes a step, not just a blur. And once you get that rhythm, once you start leading your time instead of reacting to it, things start shifting. You stop feeling behind. You stop chasing. You stop explaining because your results begin to speak. Your progress becomes visible. Your momentum becomes your new baseline. And from there, everything changes. Confidence grows, discipline strengthens, your vision sharpens. Suddenly, you're not just dreaming anymore, you're doing. Not once in a while, not when it's convenient, but every single day. You start moving like someone who knows their time is limited and valuable. You begin treating your 24 hours like sacred territory. And when that happens, success isn't a question of if, it becomes a question of when. Because when you own your time, you start to own your life. If you want a different life, you have to start making different choices with your time. You can't keep hoping for more while doing the same things that keep you stuck. There's a gap between the life you have and the life you want. And that gap is built or destroyed based on how you use each hour. This is why some people skyrocket forward in months while others stay in the same cycle for years. It's not about luck. It's not even about talent. It's about how fiercely and consistently they protect and maximize their 24 hours. Most people wake up and immediately give their time away. They check their phones, respond to messages, scroll through noise, and invite the world's chaos into their minds before they've even spoken a word to themselves. They give the best part of their day to the beginning to everyone else's agenda. And by the time they get around to their own goals, they're already drained, distracted, and defeated. That's not a time issue. That's a boundary issue. When you don't decide how your day begins, someone else will decide it for you. And the world doesn't care about your goals. The world will happily eat your time alive. You have to learn to say no, not just to people, but to patterns. You have to say no to distraction, no to unplanned mornings, no to time-wasting conversations, no to tasks that feel productive but don't move you forward. Because every yes you give to something meaningless is a no to your own future. And if you're not intentional, your day will get filled up with low-value noise. It'll feel full, but it'll produce nothing. That's the trap. Busy does not equal progress. Just because you're tired at the end of the day doesn't mean you used it well. One of the most powerful things you can do is track your time for just one day, every hour, every action. Write it down, not to judge yourself, but to become aware. Because awareness changes everything. You start to see the leaks, the gaps, the choices you didn't even realize you were making. You notice how much time slips away unnoticed. And once you see it, you can change it. You can't fix what you don't measure. You can't optimize what you don't understand. But once you understand where your hours are going, you can start directing them with precision. People underestimate what a focused hour can do. 1 hour of deep, undistracted work can accomplish more than an entire day of scattered effort. But the key is intention. The key is protecting that time like it matters, because it does. You wouldn't leave your wallet out in the open for anyone to take, but you leave your time wide open every single day. You answer every call. You check every notification. You stop working to respond to meaningless distractions. Now, it's not harmless, it's destructive, because once you break your focus, it takes time to rebuild it. Every interruption comes with a cost. You have to build barriers around your focus. You have to decide when you're available and when you're not. You have to create blocks of time that are non-negotiable. Time where the only thing that exists is the task in front of you. No multitasking, no reacting, just pure deliberate effort. That's when your best work happens. That's when breakthroughs happen. But that only happens when you decide your time is sacred, not optional. And yes, it takes discipline. Yes, it takes repetition. But once you start living like this, guarding your time, building your schedule around your goals instead of your distractions, you begin to feel something new. You begin to feel control. Not fake control, where everything looks neat on paper, but real, unshakable command over your day. You stop drifting, you stop blaming, you stop waiting, and that's where transformation begins. Because when you own your hours, your mindset shifts. You no longer feel like a victim of time, you become a creator with it. Success is not a lightning strike. It's not one lucky break. It's the compounded result of how you used your 24 hours over and over again. And when you realize that, you stop looking for shortcuts. You stop chasing hacks. You start falling in love with mastery. You start finding pride in discipline. You start seeing every moment as a decision point. And those decisions shape your identity. They shape your outcomes. They shape your future. There comes a moment in every person's life when they realize time isn't just slipping away, it's being traded. Every hour you live is an exchange. You're giving something of your life for something in return. The question is, what are you getting back, and is it worth it? You're not just spending time, you're investing it into people, into distractions, into habits, into dreams. And some of those investments are paying you back in growth, fulfillment. Others are robbing you of potential, pulling you backward, draining you slowly. Once you see your time as a trade, you can no longer be casual with it. You start making sharper decisions. You stop handing your hours to things that aren't helping you build the life you truly want. The problem is most people live reactively. They let the outside world set the rhythm. Their phones ring and they answer. A message pops up and they read it. A notification dings and their focus shatters. They don't realize how many of their hours are dictated by external noise. But that's the trap of modern life. Everything is designed to steal your attention. And if you don't fight for it, you'll lose it. You'll look back a year from now and wonder why nothing changed. You'll have been busy every day, but made no real progress. That's because your time was consumed, not directed. There's a difference between being active and being intentional. Movement without direction is wasted effort. To truly use your 24 hours better, you must become ruthless about energy and boundaries. Not every call deserves a response. Not every request deserves a yes. Not every conversation needs your participation. Every time you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. And if you're not protecting your priorities, the world will bury them under urgency and noise. You have to learn to be unavailable sometimes, not because you're arrogant, but because you're focused, because you know your goals require solitude. They require silence. They require undistracted effort. And you can't keep giving everyone your best energy and then offering your dreams the leftovers. The truth is, people won't always understand your boundaries. They'll think you've changed. They might feel offended, but that's okay. Growth always requires friction. You weren't put here to live up to everyone's expectations. You were put here to fulfill a purpose. And that purpose can only be reached when you learn to protect your time like it's your most valuable asset, because it is. You can recover money. You can rebuild relationships. But time, once it's gone, it's gone. Every hour that passes is either a deposit into your dream or a withdrawal from your potential. And it's not just about hustle, it's about alignment. When you use your time right, you don't just become more productive, you become more fulfilled because you're spending your life on things that actually matter. You feel the satisfaction of momentum. You feel the pride of consistency. You begin to experience progress, not as a distant wish, but as a daily reality. You sleep better, not just because you're tired, but because you know your day counted. You know you move forward. You know you gave your best to the things that matter most. Start measuring your days not by how much you did, but by how much of it mattered. Were your actions aligned with your purpose? Did your schedule reflect your priorities or someone else's? Were you reactive or were you intentional? These are the questions that separate dreamers from doers. And once you start asking them daily, you begin to self-correct. You stop tolerating wasted time. You stop letting convenience run your life. You begin to choose discomfort if it leads to progress, discipline if it leads to freedom, structure if it leads to strength. The fastest way to change your life is to change how you manage your time. It's the one variable you control completely. You can't control where you were born or what's happened to you in the past, but you can control how you show up in the next hour. And when you take that hour seriously and the next, you start changing the trajectory of your life. You stop waiting for something magical to happen. You realize the magic is in your habits, your discipline, your daily rhythm. That's where transformation lives. Not in tomorrow, not in the future, but right here, in this hour, in this choice, in this moment. Most people never realize how much of their future is shaped by the tiny, ordinary decisions they make each day. They think the big breakthrough will come from some giant dramatic moment, a lucky break, a sudden opportunity, a life-changing meeting. But life doesn't reward the occasional bursts of greatness. It rewards the consistent investment of time into things that matter. Your legacy isn't built in one moment. It's built in thousands of invisible, uncelebrated hours when nobody is watching. It's built every morning you get up early when you don't feel like it. Every evening you choose focus over distraction. Every time you choose progress over comfort. These moments look small on the surface, but they compound. Over time, they shape everything. You don't get to success and peace and fulfillment by accident. You get there by mastering your days. And you master your days by mastering your hours, because every hour holds a decision. And that decision is either pushing you forward or pulling you back. The way you spend your 24 hours becomes the way you spend your life. And that's why urgency matters. That's why structure matters. Not because they're trendy, but because they are the rails that carry your momentum. Without them, you drift, you react, you settle, you convince yourself that you're too busy or that your dreams can wait. But they can't. Because while you're waiting, someone else is building. While you're delaying, someone else is doubling down. The people who rise are the people who stop negotiating with their time. They stop living based on how they feel and start living based on what they value. They stop doing what's easy and start doing what's necessary. They build their lives like architects, not randomly, but with vision and design. They map their hours like blueprints. They know where their time is going. They know what each block of the day is supposed to accomplish. That level of clarity gives them power. It gives them peace. It gives them the freedom to move fast because they're no longer guessing or wasting. They're executing. And that's why they win. You don't need more motivation. You need more structure. Because motivation fades, energy fades, inspiration fades, but systems stay, habits stay, discipline stays. The real shift happens when you stop depending on how you feel and start depending on your schedule. When you create routines that pull you forward, even when your emotions try to hold you back. That's the difference between people who talk about change and people who create it. The people who create it have built a system where success becomes automatic. Their environment, their hours, their focus, it all supports the life they're building. And when you get that aligned, you become unstoppable. But to get there, you have to be honest with yourself. You have to look at how you've been using your 24 hours and ask, is this helping me or hurting me? Is this schedule making me stronger or weaker? Is this day moving me closer to my dream or deeper into delay? If the answer is unclear, you have work to do. Because your time is either creating leverage or creating regret. And once you become aware of that, you can no longer act like your schedule doesn't matter. You start treating every hour like an opportunity. You start removing the waste. You start tightening the gaps. You start focusing with intensity. And when that happens, things begin to shift. Not all at once, but slowly, surely, consistently. You start to feel momentum where there was once stagnation. You start seeing progress where there was once chaos. You begin to feel in control again. And that feeling, the sense that you are directing your own life instead of reacting to it, is one of the most powerful feelings in the world. It's not loud, it's not flashy, but it's solid, it's stable. It's what separates people who make a little progress here and there from those who become masters of their craft, builders of their dreams, and leaders of their own future. Time is the great equalizer. Everyone gets the same 24 hours, but not everyone uses them the same. The difference isn't in the hours. It's in the discipline. It's in the priorities. It's in the courage to protect what matters, to let go of what doesn't, and to live every day like it counts, because it does. Every hour you waste is one you never get back, but every hour you master is a brick in the foundation of your greatest life. The choice is yours, and you make it again and again, 1 hour at a time. There's a silent war happening in every day you live, a war between who you are and who you could become. And the battleground is your time. It's not fought in big moments of crisis, but in the quiet choices you make hour after hour. That war is won when you stop living on autopilot and start living with deep, deliberate intention. Most people will lose the battle before noon, not because they don't care about their goals, but because they haven't trained themselves to protect the small hinges that swing big doors. They underestimate the power of one wasted hour. They tell themselves, it's no big deal, but it is. Because every wasted hour becomes a habit, and every habit becomes a lifestyle. Every day you get 24 blank checks, and how you spend them determines your wealth, not just financially, but mentally, spiritually, emotionally. And most people are bankrupt in these areas because they've been careless with their deposits. They've spent their time numbing out instead of leveling up. They've invested in comfort instead of growth. They've chosen what feels good now over what builds good later. And then they wonder why they feel stuck, why their relationships don't feel deep, why their health keeps declining, why their goals never become reality. But it's not a mystery. It's math. Your results will always match how you've managed your time. What you tolerate in your schedule becomes what you normalize in your life. If you tolerate distraction, you'll normalize chaos. If you tolerate procrastination, you'll normalize regret. If you tolerate laziness, you'll normalize mediocrity. But if you begin to tolerate only discipline, only progress, only purpose, you begin to shift everything. You start seeing time not as something you have, but as something you wield. You stop surviving your days and start designing them. You stop reacting and start responding with strategy. That shift is the root of transformation, because once you realize you are not at the mercy of your schedule, you are the master of it, you begin to take back control over everything else too. It doesn't mean your life becomes rigid. It means it becomes intentional. Spontaneity still has its place, but it's earned through structure. When your time is managed with care, it creates space for peace. It opens doors for deeper connection, sharper thinking, greater impact. You start having time not just to work, but to live, not just to move, but to feel. You can be present with the people you love because your mind is not constantly haunted by everything left undone. You can rest without guilt because your hours were spent in alignment with your values. That kind of freedom doesn't come from less work. It comes from smarter work. And yes, you will have to cut things out. You'll have to let go of habits that once comforted you. You'll have to stop watching mindless content. You'll have to stop engaging in pointless arguments. You'll have to say no to people who drain your energy. You'll have to walk away from routines that feel familiar but are keeping you stuck. It won't be easy because the brain loves familiarity, even when it hurts you. But if you're brave enough to break your patterns, you can create new ones that serve your future. Patterns of execution, patterns of discipline, patterns of clarity. And when those patterns become your new normal, so will results. You don't need a different life. You need to use your life differently. Most people chase external change, new jobs, new cities, new relationships, thinking that's the solution. But if you take the same mindset and the same time habits into a new environment, you'll recreate the same struggles. Real change starts within. It starts in the calendar, in the daily choices, in the micro decisions no one sees. That's where the shift happens. That's where your next level is born. Not in some magical future, but in the hour you're living right now. Every successful person you admire has one thing in common. They learned to control their time before their time controlled them. They built systems to protect their goals. They created rhythms that supported their mission. And because they did, they became the kind of person who attracts the life others only dream about. They didn't do it by chance. They did it by mastery, by waking up each day and winning the war over their 24 hours. And if they can do it, so can you. Because greatness isn't gifted, it's scheduled. It's practiced. It's earned in the small, disciplined choices that repeat until they shape the life you were always meant to live. The difference between those who thrive and those who merely survive isn't talent, luck, or even intelligence. It's how they use their time. That's it. The people who elevate their lives don't wait for the perfect moment. They create it by being fiercely intentional with every single hour. They don't look at their day wondering what will happen. They decide what will happen. They don't hand their schedule over to chance, chaos, or other people's priorities. They guard it. They structure it. They live with urgency, not anxiety, but a deep understanding that this day will never come again. This 24 hours is a one-time offer. Once it's gone, it's never coming back. And that awareness becomes fuel for excellence. When you begin to live like your hours are sacred, everything changes. You stop wasting time trying to convince people of your worth because you realize time spent proving yourself is time taken from improving yourself. You stop entertaining distractions that don't feed your mind, your heart, your mission. You stop letting your calendar become a dumping ground for other people's agendas. You start being strategic. You schedule your workouts. You block time for deep work. You carve out space for learning, reflection, growth. Because you understand that structure isn't the enemy of freedom, it's the foundation of it. You become unavailable for excuses. You stop saying, I didn't have time, and start admitting, I didn't make time. That level of honesty is uncomfortable, but it's liberating because it gives you your power back. It reminds you that you're in control. You're not a victim of your circumstances. You're the architect of your hours. And if your current life isn't aligned with your vision, it's not because the dream is too big. It's because your time isn't serving that dream. That's the hard truth. You don't need a miracle. You need a better daily system. Start paying attention to the invisible hours, the ones where nobody is watching. That space between obligations and rest. That quiet margin in the day where most people scroll, distract, or zone out. Those hours are where the extraordinary is built. That's where skills are sharpened. That's where focus is deepened. That's where transformation happens. Not in the loud public moments, but in the silent ones. If you can win those moments, you'll win the game of life. Because in those moments, the average are wasting and the exceptional are working. And don't get it twisted. This isn't about burnout. It's about alignment. It's about pouring your energy into what matters most. When your time aligns with your values, your energy multiplies. You don't just do more, you become more. You don't dread Mondays, you look forward to them. You don't live for the weekend, you build a life you don't need to escape from. That's the reward of managing your time with excellence. You get to experience the rare and quiet joy of being deeply proud of how you're living. You don't have to become perfect. You just have to become more intentional. You can start small, 10 minutes of focus, then 20, 1 hour of deep work, a morning routine that sets the tone, a nighttime routine that recharges you. Small hinges swing big doors. And the truth is, you already know what you need to cut. You already know what's stealing your time. You already feel the difference between time well spent and time wasted. So stop ignoring it, stop rationalizing it, start shifting it. One decision, one block of time, one day at a time. The more you master your 24 hours, the more you realize how much potential was trapped in your old schedule. How many opportunities were buried under distractions? How many goals could have already been achieved if your focus had been protected? But regret isn't your story. It's just your signal. It's the wake-up call to stop drifting. It's the push you need to take ownership and create a new pattern, a new rhythm, a new normal. The future you want isn't waiting somewhere far ahead. It's hidden in your next decision. It's buried in your next hour. And if you can take control of that hour, if you can show up fully, block out the noise and lock into what matters, your whole life can start to change. Not through chance, not through luck, but through mastery of the one thing everyone has but few respect: time. The power to completely change your life isn't buried in some distant, unattainable future. It's hiding in the next 24 hours. That's the truth most people overlook while they're searching for shortcuts or waiting for external shifts. But real growth, lasting transformation, and unstoppable momentum are all created in the minutes, hours, and moments you control right now. The tragedy is that most people live like they have forever to get it together. They put off their purpose for someday, not realizing that someday is a lie. Someday isn't on the calendar, only today is, and those who live with that awareness don't waste time, they weaponize it. Every 24 hours, you're handed as a reset button, a blank slate, a chance to write a new chapter. And it doesn't matter where you've been, how much you've wasted in the past, or how far behind you feel. What matters is what you're doing with what you have now. Too many people drag the guilt of yesterday into today and let it poison their momentum. But guilt doesn't produce growth. Discipline does. The only way to redeem lost time is to stop losing more of it. The only way to heal from wasted years is to stop wasting hours. You don't need to make up for the past. You just need to stop repeating it. There's a version of you that exists on the other side of discipline. A version that is sharper, stronger, more focused, and more fulfilled. That version doesn't come from hoping or wishing. It comes from intentional action taken repeatedly. It's built in the way you wake up, in how you spend the first hour of your day, in how you protect your attention from noise, in the decisions you make when nobody's holding you accountable. That's where transformation is born, not in the highlight reels or public moments of recognition, but in the silent, gritty work of choosing what matters over and over again. You have to start treating your 24 hours like they're sacred, because they are. You have to stop loaning your time to things that don't grow you. You have to stop being loyal to routines that drain you. You have to recognize that saying yes to one thing always means saying no to something else. So be careful what you say yes to. Be careful where your minutes are going, because minutes turn into months and months turn into years. And before you know it, your life becomes a reflection of what you allowed, not what you wanted. You can't afford to be passive with your time. Passivity leads to patterns. Patterns lead to cycles, and cycles, if not broken, become identity. You weren't born to live stuck in a loop of distraction, procrastination, and regret. You were born with the capacity to build, to grow, to lead yourself. But leadership begins with self. You can't manage a business, a family, or a dream if you can't manage your own hours. And that's where greatness begins, not in the crowds, not on the stage, but in the quiet discipline of living your life like it matters every single day. People talk about time management like it's a productivity trick, but it's deeper than that. It's self-respect. When you manage your time well, you're not just being efficient. You're declaring to the world and to yourself that your life matters, that your goals are serious, that your peace is non-negotiable. And when you begin to live that way, the world starts to respond differently to you. Opportunities open, your confidence grows, your sense of purpose sharpens, because nothing builds self-worth like keeping promises to yourself hour after hour, day after day. You don't need more time. You need fewer distractions. You don't need a miracle. You need more focus. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be consistent. Consistency is the bridge between your current life and the life you want. And the raw material that builds that bridge is your time. Time used with purpose. Time spent in alignment with your values. Time invested instead of wasted. That's the real currency of success. Don't wait for inspiration to strike. Build systems that create momentum, even when motivation is absent. Lock into your schedule like your future depends on it, because it does. Refuse to treat your time casually. Refuse to live like you have unlimited chances. This moment right here, this hour you're in, could be the one that shifts your trajectory forever, but only if you decide it matters, only if you show up for it, only if you treat it like the precious, powerful resource it is. Time is the most valuable resource you have, yet it's the one that most people take for granted. They treat it like it's infinite, like there will always be more. But the truth is, time waits for no one. Every moment that passes is a moment that's gone forever. And the key to using your 24 hours better isn't about squeezing more into your day or rushing through life. It's about being intentional with your focus and eliminating the distractions that rob you of what matters most. It's about setting priorities, taking action on them, and protecting your time with everything you've got. When you start seeing your time as precious, you'll start treating it differently. You'll stop wasting it on things that don't move you closer to your goals. You'll stop letting other people's priorities dictate your schedule. You'll stop filling your days with tasks that drain you rather than energize you. And you'll start designing a life that reflects your values, your dreams, and your purpose. The way you use your time determines the kind of life you create. If you want to create something extraordinary, you can't afford to live like everyone else. You have to stop falling into the trap of being busy for the sake of being busy and start being intentional about where your time goes. It's easy to get caught up in the hustle of everyday life, but the real power lies in focusing on what's important. The things that move the needle in your life aren't necessarily the things that take up the most time. It's the small, focused efforts that compound over time and produce massive results. When you consistently show up and work on the things that matter most, you begin to see progress, even if it's slow at first. And that progress, no matter how small, leads to momentum, and that momentum propels you forward. Time is a tool, and when you use it wisely, it can turn into your greatest asset. In order to truly use your 24 hours better, you have to get intentional about how you structure your day. Successful people don't just wake up and go through the motions. They have a plan. They know exactly what they need to do to move their goals forward. They wake up early, prioritize their most important tasks, and make sure that their time is spent on things that are aligned with their values and vision. And they do this consistently. They don't wait for the perfect moment to start. They start now. Because they understand that waiting for the right time is just another form of procrastination. The right time is always now. It's easy to think that you'll be more productive or make better use of your time when things settle down or when you have more resources. But that's just a fantasy. Life doesn't slow down. The distractions never disappear. And if you wait for the perfect conditions, you'll spend your whole life waiting. The key is to start where you are with what you have and build momentum from there. When you take action in the present moment, you build the future you want. Every small step counts. Every hour that you use wisely gets you closer to the life you want to create. You also need to start saying no more often. The truth is, you can't do everything, and trying to do it all will only leave you overwhelmed and exhausted. Saying no is an act of self-respect. It's about protecting your time and energy so that you can focus on what really matters. When you say yes to everything, you say no to your own priorities. And that's a recipe for burnout and frustration. Saying no allows you to focus on what truly moves you closer to your goals. It's not about being selfish. It's about being smart with your resources. Every day you have a choice. You can either allow time to slip away from you, letting distractions and busy work take up your focus, or you can choose to be intentional and deliberate with how you spend your hours. The difference between those who achieve their goals and those who don't isn't talent, resources, or even luck. It's the ability to use time wisely. It's the ability to focus on what matters, eliminate what doesn't, and take consistent action every day. When you master this, you unlock the door to your full potential. The reality is you will never have more time. You only have the time you have right now. And how you use that time will determine the life you create. It's up to you to decide if you'll continue to live by default, allowing your time to slip away, or if you'll start living by design, making every moment count. The choice is yours, and the time to start is now.